All right, guys. This is old to new, and I'm here for another video. So the topic today is going to be controversial, and this won't be a typical topic that I'll cover. And this is a brand new channel, so if I lose the few viewers that I have, it's really not that big of a deal because I don't get that many views anyway because I just started the channel. But it's certainly something that, in my opinion, is affecting humanity. And it's also something, as we're going through a great awakening, in my opinion, and people all over the world are waking up, this ties into that idea, that theory. And it's also relevant and good because it's coming directly from folks within the medical system. So it shows that not only are normal folks like me waking up, but it also shows that doctors and other folks within the medical system are starting to wake up. So this is a story that is about someone who I love, but I'm not going to get into all the details about what that person is, who that person is to me, because this is the internet and I don't want all my business out there. So I'm going to be a little bit vague on the relationship and etc. But, a loved one is, I know is battling cancer. And unfortunately, this is something that touches way too many people in our lives. And it's really starting to explode, it seems. Not that it didn't already exist prior, to 2024 and 2025, 24, basically 22 to, I say 2020 to 24. Obviously, it always existed, but we're seeing an acceleration. At least it felt like that. It feels like that. And also, you're seeing, you could look at articles all across the internet about, oh my gosh, UK government or US government can't understand why cancer is exploding. We hear about it all the time. All you got to do is look. And I'll show you kind of an example today. This is just from an article today. So let me see if I can find it. Okay, so Daily Mail Online, and you can kind of, let me see if I can set you guys up. Hopefully you can see the headline. Might be a little blurry, but so I'll read it to you. So, mystery cancer explosion. Now another type of disease is surging. Death rates double, making it UK's fastest rising cancer killer. Okay, so why are these cancers exploding all over the place? Obviously, it's, they put all kinds of chemicals in our food, probably water, who knows, air and everything else. In fact, here's another article that I'll show you today, just from today. So this is NBC News. FDA bans red number 3 artificial coloring used in beverages, candy, and other foods. Evidence shows that the synthetic dye can cause cancers in lab animals. This has been known forever, for so many years that the chemicals in our food, like red dye, are linked to cancer. So today, all of a sudden, the FDA decides to ban it, even though it's been in our food for years and years and years. And personally, I think that is starting to happen because, we have, hopefully, RFK Jr. is about to get confirmed. And, hopefully some things, I'm hopeful that things start changing a little bit. But anyway, I think that is part of the reason, because we're so close to him hopefully being confirmed. And, maybe seeing some changes in our system, because we need it real bad. But this particular story of my loved one, so going through battling cancer, and one of the first appointments with their oncologist, one of the first questions that the oncologist had was whether or not this person took the COVID vax. And, again, I don't have any viewers. That alone, just saying that will probably would get some channels banned, because YouTube, at the end of the day, unfortunately, isn't a true free speech platform. It'd be great if it was, but But it's not, and certainly it's possible that it's going to be much harder for me to build an audience if I start going down this road of these conversations and everything else. But whatever, it is what it is. But that was one of the first questions that the oncologist asked this person. And what he explained that he reached out to his colleagues, and this was obviously back when the system was pushing it and everything else. And they'll say that you weren't forced to take anything, you weren't coerced, but yeah, okay, yeah, whatever. I mean, you could have lost your job. I mean, how many military folks had to resign? How many firefighters had to resign? How many nurses had to resign? Maybe they didn't have to resign, but they didn't want to take it. So they did, and they got pushed out. But anyway, so this particular oncologist said that they recommended to their other doctor colleagues, not to take it. And now we're years later, and now a lot of those doctors are coming back to him and saying, you know what, we wish we would have listened to you. And what he said, and it kind of aligns with the many articles that we're starting to see in regards to an explosion and everything else, what he said was that he is seeing an absolute explosion in cancers, and particularly in young people. And he personally feels that it all started after they pushed, when they pushed it. And so that's coming from an oncologist, which I thought was very interesting and credible, because he's first line. He sees a spike, and so something to think about. But the same person kind of going through their process of chemo and other radiation and everything else, kind of going through the process of trying to battle this cancer, was had to go to the hospital for some complications or whatever. And a specialist came into the room, and this specialist mentioned something. And this is a totally different person, weeks apart and everything else. But my loved one who's going through this process was in the hospital, and a specialist came in and mentioned something, and mentioned that my loved one, a clot developed, a blood clot. And he mentioned that, and I was surprised he mentioned this, to be honest, because we weren't talking about this at all. So it really kind of threw me off a little bit. But he mentioned that, ever since that, he has seen an enormous spike in people 40 and under having blood clots. And you could do a research on this. I mean, it's all out there. And certainly quite a few folks, and I get it, you probably don't hear this on mainstream media. So if you're on mainstream media, I don't even know if they talk about it, because I don't watch mainstream media. But there certainly are a lot of credible folks that have linked that to blood clots with the spike protein and everything else. So this loved one of mine during this process had to get a blood transfusion for various reasons. And I told this specialist who said that, after he said that, I said, it's interesting you say that, because I have a little bit of a concern in regards to blood transfusions. Now, if you need blood, you need blood. So you're stuck. I mean, you're kind of SOL. If you need it, you need it. So it is what it is. But my concern in the back of my mind was there's no system or process in place to ensure that the blood that that is being utilized, that you're getting through a blood transfusion, was from somebody who did not get that or got that. You don't know. You don't know the blood you get. You don't know whether or not they got it or didn't get it. So you're really playing Russian roulette on whether the spike protein will be introduced into your body through a blood transfusion if you didn't get it. And so I was having a conversation and said, hey, I understand the importance of the blood transfusion, but I had a little bit of what concerned me is that there's no process or system in place to ensure that the blood is not contaminated with the spike protein. And, this gentleman looked at me and said, he said, that's a great point, and you are 100% correct. There's nothing in place. We have no system in place to ensure if a person needs a blood transfusion, that the blood that they receive is not contaminated with the spike protein right? So I'm hoping that all this changes soon. And I'm hoping with, RFK Jr. coming in, I've been following him for actually years. Considering he literally wrote the book on Dr. Fauci, I'm hoping that we start seeing some accountability, because I think that this stuff was really well known. I mean, literally, Kennedy wrote the book on Fauci. This book sold over millions of books. Was never on the New York Times bestseller list, even though it was the best-selling book out there. Well, so that's when I kind of learned that the New York Times best-selling list is BS and a fraud, like a lot of things in this country, unfortunately. But I am hopeful that these things get resolved, or at least we start seeing some progress. I'm hopeful that in the future, for little things, minor things like blood transfusions, there's a system in place to ensure that the blood that the person gets is clean. I'm hopeful that, people, God forbid we see other pandemics or other things in the future, that people have a right to choose and they don't try to shove these things down our throats again. But this is old to new, right? So the old system, corrupt, everything else. New system, I'm hoping that there's a shift. And so I don't know. Like I said, this video is going to be controversial. This is a video that is I felt in my heart I should have, because maybe it would help somebody out there. I don't know if these videos are going to find anybody or not. But that's it. I mean, that's what I got. I don't, I kind of go with the flow on these videos. So anyway, guys, that's all I got for today, but I appreciate you. And, if this, topic, you decide, hey, I don't want to watch this guy anymore, that's totally fine. Honestly, I don't care. But, if you liked it, you think it's beneficial, you can share it or like it or whatever, so we can try and grow it. But otherwise, you guys take care. Bye-bye.